Thank you, Jamie. I will call to order the regular council meeting of Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in Cayce City Hall chambers. Thank you for joining us in person and those of you who are joining us online. I believe Councilmember Carter has our invocation this evening.
Yes, Mayor. Pray with me if you will. Dearest God and Heavenly Father, let us again come to you today and thank you for this season and this spring and summer that we're about to enter into. We thank you for all things, for you are the giver of all. We now ask that you bless this council and give us courage, strength, wisdom, guidance as we take on the business of our wonderful city. Please, as always, be with our first responders and our employees as they're out there every day putting it all out for us. We all ask all this in the name of our Savior, Lord and Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have before you the approval of minutes. You have March 5th, 2024 regular council meeting, March 20th budget work session, and March 20th regular council meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, thank you. So moved. We have public comment regarding items on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mayor, we have 10 people signed up. First is Danny Creamer, item 3B. Yes, sir.
First of all, thank Mindy, Tracy, Mayor, Council for giving me the opportunity to address y'all this evening. If you see me shaking, it's not because I'm scared. I have tremors sometimes, and it's just a gene that us old people get sometimes. But first of all, let me start out by saying I am appalled by council. Every one of you. You act like kids in a kindergarten. If I can't play with my ball, you can't play with my ball. I'm taking my ball and go home. Folks, that's not what y'all up there for. Each and every one of you were elected to serve your district. And Mayor, you were elected to lead the city. It seems like every time that there's any negative stuff in the media, it comes from council. Whether it's mayor, whether it's councilman, or wherever. I have people that's in other cities, other jurisdictions, parts of the state. What's going on in Cayce? Every time I hear them in the news, it's they're bickering about something. I'm charging each and every one of you this evening to work together. That's what it's all about. Give and take. There's 5 of you. There can be no tie. And whichever way you vote on, that's the way it's ruled. Whether you like it or not. Life goes on. You're dealt the cards you played, play them to the best of your ability and the best that you can do with this great city of Cayce. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Creamer.
Next is Trey Bray. I can't tell, is it 3 and 4? Is that
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's 3B, I assume?
3B, yep, and then 4A and B. Yep. No, it's 3B, 4A, 4B.
Okay.
Perfect. Good evening, council members and mayor. Today I want to address 3 key points in the proposed amendments: design overlay districts, employee leave policy, and council member representation. So first, design overlay districts. With the I-77 overlay district, I strongly oppose allowing mining or smelting. I noticed that was put in there. This area is surrounded by protected lands and one of our most precious resources, which is Congaree Creek. Please do not allow that strike through to make it through the first reading. You can simply amend that today in the first reading and remove it. Additionally, I urge reconsideration of the ban of residential development in that entire corridor, specifically the current market demands senior living options. A 55-year-old plus townhome development adjacent to Clovis Point Way or in that area would provide numerous benefits, increase our tax base, more residents to entice future businesses, and proximity to desirable amenities like on one side Lexington Medical Center, on the other side Cayce Fitness and Tennis Center, and the wonderful Riverwalk that we have. This would revitalize our underutilized or just not utilized land and support economic growth. It would also only have positive effects on the other properties within this I-77 overlay that lay dormant. While discussing zoning, I would urge council to revise the minimum lot width for RS3 zoning. I know that this is still kind of a broad brush of zoning, but from the 60-foot to 50-foot to align with the existing developments and promote efficient land use. 6 of my neighboring properties that if I could throw a football to their yards all have less than 60-foot frontage, and they're effective uses of these lands. We have too many pieces of property sitting in infield that can't have anything done because of the 60-foot measurement. Number 2, employee leave policy. While I understand the need for a competitive leave policy, 100% I understand it, I recommend delaying approval until a comprehensive leave policy that includes what the sick leave is, what our paid holidays are, and that is all presented with cost impacts with the budget. When you're talking leave, you're talking money. When you're talking money, you're talking budget. Those things should come together, in my opinion. Furthermore, it's crucial to benchmark against neighboring entities like Lexington County, City of West Columbia, Springdale, et cetera, to ensure competitiveness. That's the entire goal here. This data was not presented in the supporting documents of the agenda that I could find, so I requested it from West Columbia City Manager and was able to get it really quick. If you need it, let me know. I would be happy to share, because that's our goal. Finally, I applaud the council's move to diversify representation on external boards and was pleased to hear the council's commitment to actually attending these meetings on our behalf. However, as Mr. Creamer said, I was disappointed to see an individual press release undermine a unified council vote. Debate and discourse within the council is vital, but it should be conducted professionally and it should stay issue-based. Let's prioritize the well-being of Cayce and his residents by working together effectively, even when you disagree or are in the minority. We need to disagree better. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your thankless service. So I want y'all to all know I really appreciate each of y'all being in this seat. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bray.
Next is Ms. Kelly West, 3B.
Good evening. It's been a while since I've been up here. Unfortunately, though, I am here today to express my disappointment with this council and to address a pattern of what I see behavior. Just over 2 years ago, I applied for a volunteer position with the city, with the foundation, and instead of being appointed as next in line, my appointment was delayed by 2 months. This was also the case of another woman who applied to serve at the same time. Then I watched this delay happen again to another woman only a year later, and I had to listen as she made her case before council to serve before she was ultimately appointed. For all of us, our appointments were delayed for obscure reasons and only went through, honestly, because Mayor Parton and Mayor Pro Tem at the time, Councilman Jenkins, fought the absurdity of them. As if that wasn't enough, you have actively blocked citizens from volunteering, and now we've watched you methodically remove Mayor Parton, the only woman serving on this council, from all committees during one of the only council meetings she was not present. From the outside looking in, this seems to be a disturbing trend that is escalating quickly. Moreover, as a citizen of Cayce, I have no faith that your actions are in my best interest or those of my neighbors. Your actions and decisions seem to be only in service of yourselves, which is not how this or any council should function. Whenever your actions are challenged, you provide what you seem to think are legitimate reasons, and perhaps in another reality, they might be. But what you fail to realize as the reasons that you give are clearly not your true motive, but instead an attempt to shroud whatever your true intentions are. Although my default is to give everyone the benefit of the doubt and assume no ill intent, I no longer feel I can afford that to the councilman in front of me. I would like to believe this is not about 4 men keeping women from leadership roles. I would like to believe you're all here for the right reasons and making decisions that are fair, equitable, and just, and not driven by personal agendas. However, right now, I cannot honestly say that I believe that's true. If they were, we would see you working together, prepared for and engaging in open and public discussions. And to be clear, what I've mentioned today are not the only reasons why I've lost faith in this council. There unfortunately are council minutes, and now lots of Zoom recordings full of others. I just simply can no longer keep quiet about it because you're crossing dangerous lines and actively hurting the city you claim to care about. My hope is that each of you take a look at the impact of your actions, correct it, and work towards making the city as great as it has been, is, and can be. Be transparent, truly listen to those you are supposed to represent. We do not always have to agree, but we do need to feel heard and represented. Restore our faith in you to do what's right, because even when we're not here, we are watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. West.
Next is Miss Mary Safco. And it looks like 3B, and I can't read the other two.
And the other two, 800 Lexington.
800 Lexington, okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. Once again, I find myself asking for the 5 of you to work together to create the appearance of a united front, whether real or otherwise. I'm totally okay if you pretend. I am disappointed on so many levels over the events of the past few weeks. After the last council meeting on March the 20th, I asked the 4 of you to request an agenda item for the next council meeting on April the 9th to reverse all votes taken at that meeting. It was my thoughts you would work out an executive session tonight, and return with any needed votes concerning external seats. But I didn't see that on the agenda, so I'm assuming that that did not take place. It saddens me that the media was involved. It upsets me that further discord was created with quotes to the media by our 2 newest council members, who only added fuel to the fire, thus creating more soot to give Cayce a black eye. I needed to understand why these external committees were such a big deal to cause so much discourse. So I tried to educate myself by learning more about each. While these seats do not need to be held by the mayor, more often than not, the mayors of Cayce, Columbia, Lexington, and West Columbia hold these seats. So was this a power grab or a planned and crafted act to simply take our mayor down a peg? If the latter, when and how was this organized? And believe me, it was organized and scripted. These are the questions that I have continually asked myself. Now I do feel we should have representation at the table for these important external boards, commissions, and councils. The answer is absolutely yes. I definitely feel like we should. We want to be there, and we need to be represented at every meeting. You are all smart people, so work out the details in executive session. But before you begin, each one of you owes one or more of the others an apology. There's no one who should not be apologizing in executive session tonight. I would ask for everyone to then do a group hug, but I know that that is more than I can ask of you. So at least realize that everybody is coming from this from a place that they feel like is right. But the thing is the answer is somewhere in the middle. Hopefully you understand some of these committees vote and some are for information sharing only. Alternates are a good idea. but alternates may not be able to vote. So it's a good idea to have these discussions amongst each other before alternates begin. Also, being Cayce's representative at an external meeting carries responsibilities. When you attend, come back, share the agenda and minutes with other members of the council, our city manager, and our municipal clerk. A succinct recap during executive session would even be a plus. Personally, I do not feel it is appropriate for any two or more of you to meet outside of council meetings or work sessions under any circumstances, without all other members of this council being invited to join. I can't emphasize that enough. If done without full disclosure, there is too great of a chance it may be seen as A, seen and misunderstood even if innocent, or B, seen and interpreted as improper if not innocent. Each of you represent our city, so proper decorum is expected in all you do at any time. That's the price you pay for being elected to the city government. You must always be cheerleaders for our city, always putting positive spins on everything. When infighting occurs, you make the whole city look bad. Okay, that takes care of that. And I'd like to move on to the other two. 800 Lexington is on agenda item 8A and agenda item 9, and I'd like to speak to those. For 8A, I live 45 blocks from this lot and went to Cayce Grammar as a child, so I have a personal connection. My concern is the lack of city transparency with the old Cayce Grammar School. It's being discussed in executive session and then voted on following executive session. I think in fairness to all the freestanding homeowners surrounding this lot and other nearby homeowners like myself, full transparency is needed with a 30-day public comment period before anything is finalized. If freestanding homes will be built for sale, personally, I have no issue with this land use. However, if rental homes, townhomes, apartments, etc. will be built, local homeowners should have an opportunity to voice legitimate concerns. Concerning the later agenda item, number 9, it is my opinion full transparency should be given at this time. A public comment period of 30 days should be granted to begin as soon as possible, and this vote should be deferred to the council meeting following a 30-day public comment period. To do otherwise gives the appearance of being a cloaked deal. Thank you for this opportunity to voice these concerns. And even though I know this has been a tough 2 weeks for all of us, do better and make me proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Safko.
Next is Mr. Bill Stengler, 4A.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. It has been a minute since I've been here. I'm Bill Stengler, your Congaree Riverkeeper. Like I said, it's been a bit since I've been here. Most cities probably think that's a good thing. I'm going to speak briefly, I know you have a very busy agenda, about the proposed amendments to the zoning overlay districts. Specifically, the amendments would remove an existing prohibition of distilling, refining, smelting, or mining in the I-77 overlay district. As you see on that map that was included in the agenda packet, that district includes areas that are very near the Congaree River and the Congaree Creek Heritage Preserve. So we have concerns about the potential impacts of those types of businesses, specifically expanded mining on the river, the newly expanded Congaree Creek Heritage Preserve, and the surrounding community. And I would encourage you guys to keep those prohibitions in place. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stengler.
Next is Ms. Marcy Hayden, item 3B.
Good evening, council members and mayor. I'm Marcy Hayden, and my family and I live over in Edenwood in District 4. And I've been involved with the city over the past several years in various ways and very proud to serve. I'm one of a handful of women that are in positions on commissions or working within the government, and I appreciate my role and respect the power and the role that I play in that area. It is disturbing to me, and I think Ms. West said it very, very well. I don't think I could say it better than she did when it comes into regards the pattern that we are seeing. When I say we, I'm talking about the women of Cayce. Not all of us maybe, but some of us, a good majority of us. City of Cayce is 50% female, probably a little bit more now. I think it's getting closer to 52% female. We have one female serving on our city council. It is disturbing to me when council votes and removes her from every single committee. She could have stayed on one committee, guys. One committee. It wouldn't have been so suspicious. I think it was very cowardly to wait until she was not here. And granted, I know we all want change in Cayce. I appreciate that. I understand that. I want change in Cayce too. But that is not the way to go about it. It was cowardly. I think if you're going to have these discussions, as Ms. West said and others have said, it needs to be done as a group. You guys need to work together. It is embarrassing. And I hate to say that, but just like some of the other people mentioned, I get phone calls from people in other cities asking me, what in the heck is going on in Cayce? I have good friends in government in other cities. They're like, what is going on over there? It is nuts. You guys are always in the newspaper about something crazy. And I think it's time for us to stop. It has to stop. We have to work together. Everybody won their seat, okay? You were all elected by the people in your districts and by the city of Cayce. You are here to represent us. You work for us. And we expect more. We demand more. This has gotten crazy. It's gotten out of hand. And just as several other people have said, there was ways to do this. There could have been alternatives selected to serve in these positions. And many of these committees, as it was said before, the mayor is the representative. She's the one that serves, or he's the one that serves. There can be an alternate selected. On committees that the head of the city is not the person in the seat, someone else can maybe serve in that committee. It could be handled differently, so differently. I will say I've had the pleasure to work with Mayor Parton in the past prior to being involved in the city in any kind of way, shape, or form when I worked in state government, and I worked a lot with the council governments, working on the census and other things. She does a great job representing us out there, guys. Tim, you do a great job representing us through like the chamber and other places. I think we can all do better. You guys do a great job, but work together because it's gotten out of hand. And again, it's embarrassing, and I'm very disappointed. It should not get to this point. I will say that I encourage you guys, again, to not put Cayce in a bad light. We can do so much better, and we have so much potential here. And people are looking at us and looking at what we're doing. So continue to try to work together. I encourage you guys to take a step back from what has happened. Look at what's going on. Look at your patterns, because those patterns are there. And not only are people in Cayce noticing these patterns, but people outside of Cayce are noticing these patterns and taking heed that Cayce is not friendly to certain groups of people. And that is not the representation that we want. That's not the reputation we want. That's not how we want to be represented. I expect you guys to continue to work, to do better. That's what we're asking for you. I'm not the only person that said that tonight. You represent us, and we expect you to do better. And if not, we'll see you very soon to get you out of that seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayden.
Next is Mr. Chip Salak.
Which item, Mindy?
Which item did you want to
Well, I
speak?
really don't have a statement, but I have more questions than a statement, and maybe the questions will come out during your discussion, but it is on 3B.
Okay.
And I'm a little bit confused because what I saw and what I read was that the mayor was disappointed in how everything was handled and was unaware that that was going to take place. But then I looked back at the meeting, I looked at the tape of the meeting, and in that meeting, Tim James said that he had met with the mayor a week before the meeting, and there was some discussion. I don't know what discussion was, and he didn't go into that, but that led me to believe that there was some kind of a discussion going on that maybe the mayor was going to be aware of what was going to be taking place at the meeting. So I don't know. That's, at this point, an assumption, but I think, I've heard a lot of statements tonight, but I don't know that all the statements may be accurate if we don't have all the answers to a lot of the questions. I think, I don't think, it didn't look like this thing was planned. I don't know, it seemed, on the surface, it seems like it makes sense that if there was 4 different committees, that 4 different people could serve on those to kind of split up the activity that this council would do in these committees. I don't know, the other question I would have is if, the Mayor, if you were on all these committees before, how did you get there? Why wasn't it split up prior to that, or why were you the only one on all the committees? If I look at and I'm still learning a lot of this, but if I look at the regulations on how the council is, the mayor is actually just another council member, but it's called the mayor. And the mayor only has 1 vote, as all the other 4 council members do. So it's not so much that I think the mayor runs the whole operation. I think the council is run by the 5 of you and not 1 individual. So hopefully, maybe during the discussion, which I'm a little bit confused on why the public comments come before the discussion. It seems like they would come after this discussion, but I guess that's the way it's been done for a long time, but it's a little bit confusing. And I've sat in a lot of these meetings. This is the first meeting that there's been a lot of people here, and it's one of the first meetings this year, with the exception of maybe 1 other one, that anybody has ever had a comment to speak. And I find that, and the reason is because I think the agenda might be flip-flopped a little bit. I don't know that anybody can come up and make statements without hearing what the discussions are about. And I think that's where we are now, is that the questions that I have, I hope will come out during the discussion period. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salick.
Next is Ms. Eva Corley, item 3B.
Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Eva Corley, and I lived in Cayce for 10 years and was elected to the Cayce City Council for 2 terms. The only reason I resigned from council was because my family and I needed to move. Otherwise, I would still be serving. I'm only speaking today because it is my understanding that my name was brought up in conversation when discussing the agenda topic of external committees and reappointments. I had a few citizens reach out to me about how the topic was handled during a council meeting, and I felt like I needed to speak up. It was said that I and Tara Almond, another former council member, were too busy and didn't have time to be on the committees. If Tara and I had wanted to serve on any of those committees that you took from the mayor, we would have had an open conversation with the mayor, just like you all should have. It disturbs me that members of council appointed themselves to the committees without including the mayor when she was absent for the meeting. This is not what the Cayce Council represents. Cayce has come a long way to be open and transparent while under the leadership of the mayor. And this action that was taken at the last meeting completely undermines that. I know firsthand how the council used to operate. We worked with each other. We listened to each other. We didn't always agree, but we were respectful to each other and staff. I served alongside a couple of you, and you know we didn't treat our fellow council members that way. While I am no longer a resident of Cayce, Cayce remains very special to me. It's bothersome to see how this particular agenda item was handled in the last meeting. Oh, we also know that Cayce has the best city staff there is. So as you're doing your jobs on council, please make sure it includes supporting Tracy and the rest of staff. You're only hurting the city and its citizens instead of serving them by acting this way. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Corley.
Next is Mr. Skip Jenkins, item 3B.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tracy, Mayor, Council. I'm here to speak on 3B because I was brought into this not even being here, bought into this procedure that y'all took to oust the mayor from all her proceedings or meetings and stuff. And yes, we never did anything like this. I'm so sick and trying to understand why Cayce wants to go back instead of go forward. If you don't want your seat, then give it up to someone that want to serve, because I can honestly say and believe that none of you own all the houses and business and stuff in Cayce, because you can't support Cayce. The people that want to move into Cayce is not coming in knowing what they have to go through. And Tim, you're in the position to know that. And while you leading the pack, going around doing something like this, you're not working for the city. You're working for Tim. I don't want to get off track here, but the only thing I could offer here is that if you want to talk about me, if you want to find out something about me, all of you know where I live. And if you don't, I live at 2224 Lee Street, Cayce, right over there. You can throw a brick there. And I'm willing to give you the information that you seek, okay? So you don't have to go around and backbite anybody. It's sickening to see that you got a council up there, and I can't believe I served on council for 22 years, and it's the people that I serve around. I just can't believe that I was sitting beside people that carry on like this. And someone said it earlier, we have one female, and I don't know what the rest of you are. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't say it to be funny. I don't know what the rest of you are. You're not acting like men. I told y'all several times when y'all was on the mayor, getting that, fussing at the mayor, not answering her phone calls, and not answering her texts and stuff. You did that on purpose, so she couldn't lead. Went out, we tried to do something about the warehouses and stuff, the old buildings and stuff. We went out and we put something in order. Everybody wanted us to do something. We came up with a procedure to do something about that. You know what? 2 voted for it and 3 voted down. But yet still you campaign to run on it and run on it that way with her, because she didn't do anything about it. She can't do anything about it if you didn't vote to move it on. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. You're looking at me like that, that's fine. You can look at me. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. And it's bad that it had to come to this point for something to go around. And now you used to could hide it in council. You can't hide it now. It's all over the internet now. You're not the only one know about what's going on here tonight. You have to do better. And like someone said it earlier before, you work for us. All these other people around here don't work for us. We all work together. I lost my race, and I'm sure you keep carrying on the way y'all carrying on, you're going to lose yours. That's a promise. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
Lastly is Ms. Tracy Broom, item 3B.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much. Council, thank you for serving. Mayor, thank you for serving. Mindy, Tracy, thank you for what you do. I've lived in the city of Cayce for 11 years, and I am so proud to live here. This is an uncommon municipality, in part because council has worked together for years under Mayor Parton's leadership to move our community forward. And I know y'all are proud of that too. This is an exciting place to own a home. It's an exciting place to live. It's an exciting place to work. Our staff are some of the best city staff that you can find. Our CEO, our city manager, Tracy Hagler, is one of the best city administrators that you can find in South Carolina. We have got to support our staff and support our residents by working together. You cannot send things into a tailspin at City Hall because of various agendas, whatever those might be. I'm very concerned that there's been a trend that members of council are getting together, working together to advance agendas that don't feel above board, and that's embarrassing. I'm proud of living here. I want to feel proud of my council. I know that everybody in this room is grateful to you for your service, and we expect you to operate in the sunlight, above board, and the way that this appointment, the committee and commission issue went down does not feel right to me. It doesn't feel right to a lot of people. I'm really looking forward to hearing. I have a question too. I want to hear from each of you. What happened? Why did it go down like this? Why did you remove the mayor from all of her committees and commissions in one fell swoop? How did you make that decision in a split second in a council meeting? We really need to know that answer because this is impeding the progress that y'all all need to be making as a council. So thank you to everybody who's spoken. I want to say thank you to the Congaree Riverkeeper for being here. I want to echo what Bill and Mr. Bray said about the smelting and mining while I'm up here. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Broom. Thank you. Okay, we have discussion and approval of selection of vendor for the purchase of handheld radios for the police department.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. In the current budget, you approved $297,000 from the allotted ARPA funds for the purchase of police handheld radios through an approved vendor. We have since gotten quotes on those. We spent a lot of time trying to find some grants. And we're going to continue to do that for in-car radios, but since receiving quotes, we are asking for additional funding to get those in-car radios. We got two quotes, one from Motorola for $407,990 and one from Kenwood for $321,022. So staff tonight is recommending that council approve the additional funding of $25,000 to purchase those police radios from Kenwood. They are on a state contract, so we can do that through them. The additional funding would be coming from the miscellaneous unallotted ARPA tranche that we currently hold. So you would be approving the additional funding, the selection of Kenwood, and the location of that funding to come from additional ARPA funding.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, I got just a couple of quick questions. Your recommendation says to approve this thing with Kenwood. Now, I know these things, at times, we may be doing maneuvers and things, we drop them and they may get broke. Is this the same manufacturer we have now, or are we mixed? Do we have challenges with repairs?
We will be moving to all Kenwood because of that point.
So
But we
this
do
will
have,
not fully stock our whole city, these Kenwoods we're buying tonight?
we will get there, yes, sir. We will
We'll
have to.
get there, but
We-
this
This would be a
amount won't-
part of doing the in-car. We have to do the same thing, or we have approved for a fire, and then we need to do the same for our in-car radios. I'm sorry, so this is for your handhelds. Once we
so-
do that, yes, we'll be
So when we
complete.
segue over to the in-car stuff, is that ARPA money, or will that be new money altogether?
It'd be grant, we're trying to find some grants. We hope to find that, so it would be new if we aren't
That's
approved.
the
Yes,
word
sir.
I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
very much.
Yes, you asked us to look for some grants, and we've been doing so, and we found that we couldn't get them for certain ones. We're going to
Perfect.
continue to look for the others. Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Any other discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Saab?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you, so moved. Next, we have discussion of and motions approving service of council members on designated external boards and commissions. We do have one other position that we need to address, which is the Central Midlands Regional Transit Authority Lexington Transit Work Group. And that was a position that was held by the prior Mayor Pro Tem and the council member for District 2. So I reached out to the current council member for District 2 to ask if he would like to be nominated for that position, and he does. So is there a motion to nominate Byron Thomas for that position?
Mayor, make a motion that we nominate Councilman Byron Thomas to the Central Midlands Regional Transit Authority, the Election and Transit Work Group.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Only, you understand the commitments of that, I guess? You've been discussed with the commitments of the position?
I'm still waiting to hear back more information, but I'm still honored to serve on it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, then I just want to point out that how we're handling this item is how healthy city government works, and that's not how these items were handled at the last meeting. You know, I saw a video of our women's basketball championship coach, Dawn Staley. The team was training and she was coaching them, and she said, "Trust your teammates, trust your teammates." That's what made them champions, because they worked together. For over 15 years of changing councils, it is what has made our city amazing as well. Yes, there's been divisions, but council members still managed to treat each other with respect and civility, even while fighting for what they believed was right. Because at the end of the day, we all wanted to make life better for the people of Cayce. We just had different ways to get there. And Cayce is a better place because of it. At the last council meeting, what council did to me regarding appointments on external committees isn't the problem. It's a symptom of the problem. The problem is a lack of trust from the citizens who have spoken to me in droves about the lack of trust they now have in their council member. How they didn't even believe what their council member replied to them in email and in the media. That lack of trust extends to everything now. We have an item later on the agenda about a development in the city. The same development that a council member said in a prior council meeting that he had had a meeting with the developer and wanted to see something good happen to it. Is council going to give something to that developer that impacts your taxpayer dollars? How do you know? How can you now have trust? What we know from the last council meeting is council's actions weren't about my attendance at any particular meeting. Because if it was, wouldn't they have talked to me about it so that they would know the facts? Wouldn't they make sure they're attending all our Cayce Council budget workshops and our internal committees, like the Cayce Public Safety Foundation and the Cayce Beautification Foundation? Because they're not. It's not about whether I knew this item was on the agenda, because of course I did. But the 2 times this item has been on the agenda, it affirmed the mayor and mayor pro tem serving on those external committees. I had no reason to think anything differently would be happening, because no one on council communicated with me or staff about their plans. Once the item was on the agenda, I asked the mayor pro tem what I could support him in being on. He never would give me a straight answer. And when I emailed him and council about their desires for this agenda item, not a one of them responded. Not a one. It's not about them wanting to be more involved, because that's a great thing. But if it was, wouldn't they have talked to me about it? Because if they had, I would have loved to talk about divvying up those things, but doing it in a way that didn't take our city off of prestigious extra positions like executive committees and others that I had earned for us. Those are now lost opportunities in the city. But they did talk to others about it. Weeks prior to the last council meeting, 2 members of council talked with our citizen appointee to the River Alliance. They told her that one of the council members wanted to be on the River Alliance, and she feared they were coming for her seat. It wasn't until the last council meeting that it was clear what they had been planning for weeks. It's about political gamesmanship over ethical governing of our city. It's about power grabs, and it's lost trust. From the smooth motions made at the last council meeting to the Shakespearean protests that council members don't meet together outside of council meetings, yet pictures have surfaced from a citizen of at least 2 council members meeting at the Mayor Pro Tem's house. Trust is eroded. So where do we go from here? That depends on council. I hope for the sake of our citizens, they will choose the path of being civil, courteous, and kind. I hope that they and their proxies will stop spending time attacking me and our staff and lead in ways we were elected to. It's important because the way we govern from here affects all our citizens. It means we can get through the tough times like a 3-day fire, floods, or the loss of a police officer. Each time we were able to navigate those things because we had a council, staff, and citizenry who chose to communicate and to connect. And that's what makes life better. And that's what makes our city better. That connection and trust that Mayor Rickenman talked about recently with the strengths of blue zones, those places where life is better, connection matters. Trust matters. I will call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, thank you, so moved. Next, we have discussion and approval of memorandum of agreements with South Carolina Department of Transportation for utility relocation, sewer and water at Congaree Creek Bridge on US 21 improvement.
Good evening again. These things come before you pretty frequently. As part of the SCDOT Bridge Repair Program, they are replacing the bridge on US 21, that's Charleston Highway over the Congaree Creek. The City of Cayce has utilities in this area that must be relocated as part of that project. The relocations have been designed by our on-call engineer, Han Engineering, and will fall under the construction contract for the DOT Intersection Improvement Project. There is an SC code that requires the DOT to pay for relocation costs for small utilities. For large utilities, the DOT is only required to pay for relocations if funds are available after paying for the relocations of small utilities. Of course, to complicate things, we are one of each. Our water system is a small utility and our sewer system is considered a large. So for this project, the DOT has indicated that funds are not available to cover all costs, so we have to relocate both. Through a pretty complicated equation, which is in your packet, the funding that remains uncovered by the DOT and that code program is a remaining $157,289. So after they pay for the small water utility and what they're allowed to pay with remaining funds on the project costs, for the sewer replacements, we're left with an estimated $157,289 to cover. In order for us to get the DOT to pay those prior costs, however, they do require the memorandum of agreements that are in your packet. So again, there's one there for both water and sewer. You've looked at these before. We've done them before. Both agreements are attached and have been reviewed by our attorney. So staff recommends council approve both the in-contract utility relocation MOAs for the US Highway 21 Bridge Replacement Project over Congaree Creek. Again, there's one for sewer and one for water, and that you authorize the city manager to execute those agreements. In addition, staff does have to ask council to approve payment for the sewer relocation portion of the project that's not covered by the DOT. That's up to $157,289, and we recommend that money come from the utilities O&M unreserved fund balance. Happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion for the staff recommendation that council approve both in-contract utility relocation MOAs for the U.S. Highway 21 bridge replacement over Congaree Creek, one for sewer and one for water, and authorize the city manager to execute, and also to motion that the staff recommendation that council approve payment for the sewer relocation portion of the project of up to $157,289 from the utilities O&M unreserved fund balance?
Motion to do what you just said, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Excuse me, Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you, so moved. Next, we have discussion and approval of ordinance 2024-03, amending zoning ordinance Article 6, district regulations concerning uses in the design overlay districts. This is the first reading.
Yes, as you know, from time to time, staff reviews and analyzes the uses that are allowed within our overlay districts. We have a couple throughout the city. Those overlay districts are intended to provide additional zoning regulations or requirements on top of the underlying. They may affect the uses that would also be in the underlying zoning for those parcels. Again, we look at those from time to time and recommend either the addition of some uses or the removal of them, kind of based on best practices. You have a red line of those suggestions in there. You've heard a couple people talk about some of those this evening. The Planning Commission, this does go to them. They held a regularly scheduled meeting on March 18th and voted on those amendments. No one spoke in favor or against. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended that council approve the first reading of this ordinance that would amend Article 6, District Regulations, Section 610, Design Overlay Districts, and that's just concerning rules for certain uses. So you have in your packet what we're proposing to be removed and what do not. Planning Commission gave it a recommended approval. Staff recommends the same for first reading. Happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you. So if we were to approve this on first reading, of course, that means there's a second reading. We could certainly work with our partners who have concerns and make sure that we're all on the same page about what's what.
You can make any amendments you would like to, but yes, ma'am, there's two readings.
Okay. Is there a motion for the staff recommendation to adopt these amendments to assist in updating our city's overlay districts and give the related ordinance first reading approval?
I have a motion, Mayor. It's not that motion. We've heard, concerns tonight. I'm personally a bit concerned that this went before the Planning Commission, and we heard no one speak for or against it. But tonight, we hear a great deal of people.
That happens a lot.
And I know that happens, Tracy, even though you do try very much to be able to get people. But some of these concerns tonight are very concerning to me as well. My request is for us to defer this until Tracy, city manager, and others can either look at it or bring it to a work session, because there are concerns in here that we would not want to approve it as it sits today. Just my suggestion.
So is there a motion to when to defer it? We have a meeting
I'd
next
do
week.
it immediately, if we could. Let me rephrase that. Tracy, when could staff review this and bring it back to us? So,
Well, staff, in all fairness, staff has reviewed this. This is our recommendation, but, if you're asking us to talk to, I think if you're requesting a work session where we all communicate.
there are pieces and
Issues,
parcels
then sure.
of this overlay that fit our city as we move forward. But there are some in here that are completely against
Then
what
you
we
would-
know is the best for
then-
the city. So if we turn it down tonight, it turns the entire thing down. Correct, Danny?
Correct.
Yes, sir, in that form, yes, sir.
You want to postpone to the next
do.
meeting and make sure we get more communication and more insight into what's what?
Motion to postpone until the next meeting, and hopefully, which is next week. That's right, because we're a week late. She can't get that. So first week in May.
It depends on what you're asking for, but
I believe we all really have heard tonight, and we all have the concerns. And if you feel like you can look at that within a week, then certainly next week would be great. Mayor, if not, then the following meeting.
Well, why don't we stick with that, and then if we need to defer it again, we can.
That's fine with me. Yep.
All right, there's a motion to defer to the next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion?
Again, I don't have a problem with any of it except that one thing about the distilling, refining, smelting, or mining. You remove that, I'm good.
Then that could be a simple
Rest
direction
of
of
it looks
y'all's.
good.
That's a very simple direction of y'all's.
No
All right,
minus.
I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, thank you, so moved. Next, we have consideration and approval of a resolution approving leave policy and procedures for employees of the city of Cayce.
Motion to defer to the budget season.
Second.
We're in budget season.
Put it into the presentation for the budget. I think it does have a financial impact, and I'd like to see it at that time. That's my motion.
Okay, but still to clarify, so even if it's in the budget, you still need this ordinance to come before council. So do you want,
Budget.
we're in budget session. Do you want that at the first reading for the budget for the city?
Yes. First reading of the budget.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion to postpone this until first reading of the budget.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, thank you, so moved. We have a request for an approval to enter the following committee-approved minutes into the city's record. You have before you the Board of Zoning Appeals from December 18th, 2023, the Museum Commission from February 7th, and the Planning Commission from February 26th.
Motion to approve all minutes as presented, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, thank you, so moved. We have appointments and reappointments. Board of Zoning Appeals, we have 2 positions open. The city has received a potential member application from Ms. Shirley McClurkin Motley, Mr. Philip Corley, Ms. Karen Fitch, and Mr. Chip Salek Jr. in that order.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Ms. Shirley McClurkin Motley and Mr. Philip Corley to the Board of Zoning Appeal.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I do have a question. When, I know that we worked at our first planning, our first work session on this new process with some new questions. When do we plan on having that implemented?
Yeah, I just need to get all of the rules in place and send out to you guys to make sure they meet your intention. So,
All right,
hope to do
thank
that
you.
this week.
Thanks.
Okay, I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, thank you, so moved. We have Planning Commission, Ms. Patty Foy's term on the Planning Commission expired in March, and she would like to serve again. She has served on the commission since 2022 and consistently attends meetings.
Motion to reappoint Ms. Patty Foy.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, thank you, so moved. We have the city manager's report.
Just to follow up on the fabulous soiree that we had. I don't think we've met
Absolutely.
since then.
Good job, Mindy.
Mindy, how many people do you think we had?
close to 3,000.
Good for you.
Nice.
That's all I have this evening.
Awesome, thank you. Any council comments this evening?
You'll go first, huh? Yes, Mayor, I do. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Many of you are curious about what council feels and thinks, and we were very quiet and listened intently to each and every one of you, and I personally would respect and appreciate the exact same thing in return. And let me tell you, whether I agree with you or don't agree with you, I serve you, and I appreciate you being here. Again, I mentioned a moment ago when Tracy said that no one came forward from to the Planning Commission and spoke about the overlay. This is critical to our community, and nobody came. These are the critical things about our community when they're looking at mining in our backyard, but nobody comes to talk about that. But I turn that around and say we're blessed to have many of you here tonight, and I thank you for that. I appreciate it. I ask for you to continue to not only be involved in things that might strike you as important, but what strikes this city as important as well. Ms. Safco, I only point you out because you said it saddens you that things like this have to go external. It saddens me too. I didn't take it external. It saddens me that things like this do have to go external because whether you're a family or you counsel, you can work together. I served once on this council before being able to come back, and I'm thankful that I am back, don't get me wrong. But when I left the first time, I looked at Mayor Parton and I said, I'm going to tell you like Dorothy said in The Wizard of Oz to the Tin Man, I'm going to miss you most of all. And I meant that because of her leadership and what she does. I don't want you to think anything's ill intent. If you do, then you don't know the man of Tim James. There's no ill intent in what I do. And with all this, it's almost embarrassing for me to have to sit and go through a chronological order of what took place over the last couple of weeks. We talk about staff. Staff don't need to sit here and listen to all this stuff, but it went external. So we have to talk about it because we are transparent. So let me make sure that you know on March the 11th, I communicated with the mayor as well as our city manager. And on that particular date, I asked them, point blank, I would like to place this on the agenda for the March 20th meeting. Not only do I want to place this on the agenda, here are what I want to place on the agenda. My replies were exactly what I was hoping and what I thought it would be. And they were things like, cool, great. What can I do to help you? In no way, shape, or form did I find or think that that was going down a rabbit hole that we shouldn't go down. When the mayor and the city manager did respond again, that is when the mayor advised me, quote unquote, I have something that I need to take care of for my family. I will not be at the meeting. I was going to ask you, Tim, could you handle the meeting for the utility budget as well as the council meeting for me? After asking this to be on the agenda is when I found out that she would not be there. Now, just as the mayor has done since finding out that there was one committee that we didn't place someone on, she does her job, and she reached out to a fellow council member and said, would you like to serve on that committee? Guys, knowing that the mayor was going to be absent, the mayor pro tem did exactly that. I made contact with the folks and asked them, did they wish to serve on these committees? Could they serve on these committees? I even did research to find out when are these committees meetings, what time of day are these committees meetings, so that the person that would agree to serve on the committee knows when the times are for them to serve on the committee. None of that was done in a backroom conversation. And for folks who questioned, well, my gosh, it certainly went through pretty clearly up here that night. Certainly it did. Byron knew exactly what committee he wanted, and he had asked a fellow council member to nominate him for that committee. That fellow nominating person needed to know that Byron could serve on that committee. This was not done in secret. It was done to make sure that the right people were serving on the committees that they could serve on and that they would have the time to be able to serve on that. But guys, several days later, and it was referred to tonight in one of our past council members' comments, I did bring up to the mayor as she and I and Tracy met on other issues. Mayor, I don't know if at one time maybe everybody was busy during the daytime and you had to take on a lot of these, but we've got people who want to take these on now. That was in no way negative towards any past council members that I had an opportunity to serve with, but it was trying to figure out how did every commission and committee get loaded onto one person's shoulders. Again, I sat and met with the city manager and the mayor regarding this issue. Again, for a third time, this was no secret. This was no secret. Outlining, of course, all of the commissions and committees that I felt. Tonight, I'm glad that Tracy did remember of the other committee that we needed to do. I had no idea. The mayor does serve on other things such as MASC, and we're glad that she does, and she does a great job serving on MASC. But guys, listen, other council members want to serve too. And we need to spread it out. And we need to make sure that commissions and the information many of you brought up tonight, that when we're attending these, then we're going to come back and we're going to give you that information. Now, while it's more detailed than most of you would want to absorb tonight, I want to tell you that the city of Cayce has long been a council, city manager form of government, not a mayor form of government. I understand this is not similar to what you see in other cities close by, but our forefathers many years ago made this particular city a council city manager form of government, meaning this, that all people that sit up here on this diocese have one vote. But I gladly and always look at our mayor as the person who is setting the agenda and running forward. Now, what's important for us to understand is this, that some subset agency, commission, committee, or anywhere else that dictates a mayor makes the decision supersedes the authority and the government of this council, because the mayor is one vote. Guys, I know you don't want to hear that, but that was the oath that I took that said you will stand by this form of government. There's things I don't want to hear the answer to sometimes, but guys, just because I don't like the answer don't mean it's not right. The fact tonight is this: we work by a city manager form of government with the council. I commented to a constituent today, I remain ready to work as a team. I've never lost sight of that. That is exactly what I want. That's what I desire. And for this team to remain focused on the city of Cayce, the citizens of the city, the growth of this city, and most importantly, the men and women who work every single day hard for it. Now, hearing some of the comments tonight, I need to let you know a couple of things. And this may be a little bit more personal than you want to hear, but it's on my heart. I'm a father of 2 daughters, and I want to see the very best for ladies that I possibly can. Nobody can question that. Nobody. Don't you dare. I'm a father of 2 daughters that I love. Don't ever question me when it comes to promoting women. Don't do it. My desire has always been to see the city of Cayce be that shining light and not externally put things out.
Point of order, Mayor.
Point of order, Mayor. I don't want to see things externally advertised either. I believe us in our home, we can work through things. We as a team should not air our frustrations out. We can handle things right here, Ms. Mary. But we need to find ways to be able to work through them. Please, guys, never question my passion for this city. I literally took a bullet for this city in the line of service. I'm proud of this city. I've served this city since I was 12 years old. I will continue to serve this city in every way I possibly can. But please refrain from thinking that this council member doesn't have the city first at heart. Thank you for allowing me a moment to be able to share my feelings on this. And again, while we may not agree on everything, let's do agree on making the city of Cayce better and better every single day. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other council comments?
Tim, I appreciate you bringing some of that up, and I want to first off thank everyone who spoke tonight, who came here to speak. I talked to a lot of folks via email, via phone call. I greatly appreciate our process and hearing from all of you, and I'm happy to inform many folks of the facts around the recent narrative. No comments were made regarding any of these external appointments until after our mayor created a baseless narrative spinning up routine business as collusion and illegal action. And the reality is that the council and citizens haven't heard a readout from any of these meetings in years. And so our city's subpar attendance records at these meetings are widely known by citizens. I see it on Facebook, by members of these committees, by their staff, and now us. I voted to remove the burden and time constraint from our mayor on some of these boards and committees, and did so without mentioning the attendance record to preserve the unity of this council. Sadly, in an attempt to play politics, she used a consultant to help write and disseminate her press release to the media, and that's why we're here, that's why you're here, and that's the comments that I'm hearing tonight. While we were here conducting city business, she told members of council that she made other plans instead of coming to the meeting since there was only one agenda item. We've heard this before, and I hope it stops. I'm here to work for our city, with this council, and will continue to do so. Now, I do understand that the city was represented at the recent COG meeting, and I sure hope Councilman Carter has a readout for us tonight, considering that's what we were appointing new council members to these committees to do. Thank you.
My turn. Thank you, Mayor. The things that were said in here tonight, I heard you. We need to stay out of the news. We need to have students and employees and all the good things that go on in this city in the news. This one got in the news by the actions of one person. It seems like every time we're in the news, it's by the actions of one person. And the interesting thing I'm gonna read a statement here, and you can, hopefully it'll be
Councilman
understood.
Carter, could you speak up?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem. This statement, I certainly was disappointed to read the statement that came out. I heard it actually from a reporter March 27th, 1 week after the March 20th meeting, and the young lady asked me, could I respond to it? And of course, my first answer is always, I can't respond to something I've never seen. So in reading that thing, I concluded a couple of things. We are a regional water and wastewater treatment provider, and the citizens of Cayce deserve consistent and active representation on these important committees. It hurts our citizens more to have a seat at the table, only to have it unoccupied. If you look in our codes and ordinances, section 2-225 of our city ordinance establishes our own standards for attendance on committees. It says, and I quote, "If an appointee misses 1/3 of all meetings within a 12-month period of service, the member shall be subject to removal for cause by council." And I sincerely hope that the expectations of our citizens would be that our council be held to not only the same standard, but perhaps a higher standard. It was also stated that all 4 councilmen hurt the citizens of Cayce by violating their right to transparency. Statement also reads that it is illegal for more than 2 council members to meet privately. I've been involved as an elected official longer than anybody up here. I know the rules. I can only speculate the statements were made out of ignorance or just an attempt to influence public opinion. The reference made to the highest office holder holding seats is, as said earlier, inconsistent with our form of government. While we elect councilmen by district and the mayor at large, each position has an equal value, and other than presiding over the meetings, the mayor has no more authority than other council members. And I reference an email dated April 5th from our city attorney that states, quote, "While the mayor or mayor pro tem may have other specific duties imposed by law or custom, no council member in our form of government is otherwise considered legally superior in rank to the other." It was also implied that we don't really need to go if city business was not on the docket of these various committees. I think that's being disingenuous and insulting to our colleagues that choose to attend and participate on these committees on a regular basis. It's the charge of this council, all council members, to represent and advocate for the citizens of Cayce. We have a council that is prepared and excited to serve. If you review the video of last meeting, all appointees were asked if they had the time and are committed to attend the meetings. Now, I just added this tonight. Yes, we need to get along. No, there are no personal agendas except to move this city forward. But my ethics and my integrity has been challenged, and I will not stand for that. You can call me a terrible councilman. You can go on to social media and say all you want. Don't challenge my ethics. Don't challenge my integrity. Thank you, Mayor.
I'd love to say a few words, Mayor. Mindy, thank you so much for sending council and the mayor the report that I asked for on February 21st regarding committees and boards for the city of Cayce. You wouldn't have that information on you right now, would you?
No, sir.
Okay, that's totally fine. I just want to be polite and ask. So when I asked for that information, I'm big about representation because all of our districts have amazing talents and peoples. So we have in the first district representing 26 people, second district 8, third district 8, and district 4, 16. Again, first, I want to thank everyone that's serving on these boards and commissions to make our city the best place to live, work, and play. However, I'm very honored to represent the second district, and I know we have a lot of talent that can help our city. I love to see my constituents sign up for the open positions so our district has more representation and continue to help our city be great. And I'm sure Hunter, since his district has only 8 people as well, he loved the same things. But District 1 and District 4, y'all doing a great job of signing up to serve on these commissions and boards. But District 2, and I could probably ask Hunter, District 3 too, we would love to see y'all also sign up to serve because there's so much talent and beauty in our city, and we want all representation to be served. Next, two states have yet to pass a hate crime bill, and sadly, South Carolina is one of them. Cities across South Carolina are passing hate crime ordinances, and the city of Cayce will not be the last city to pass one. We aim to be the first city in Lexington County to set the tone that hate is not welcome here. Tracy, I hope that we can get that back on the agenda. And just curious, have there been any discussions about the ordinance ever since I brought it up?
Yeah, I know that we've looked at it with the police chief, so we can bring it forward. When I said I wanted to hear from most of you if you were ready to bring it forward. So if that's the nods I'm getting, we'll do it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, thank you. And regarding the issue tonight, first, I just want to thank everyone for coming out and being here tonight. Like, this is what makes America so beautiful, is that we can agree to disagree. And I would love to see this room filled every single council meeting because I want a more informed, more active community. I think all of us want that. And I know a lot of people said words about teamwork. Well, my first time sitting in this seat, my first speech was about teamwork. I said teamwork is very important because together, everyone achieves more. And I'm a firm believer in teamwork and working together. I want to work with our city manager. I want to work with our mayor. I want to work with my fellow councilmen. So I promise you that whenever any of them reach out to me, I answer the call. Everything is legal in what we all do. So I don't know where this claim is that councilmen are meeting at each other's houses. I'm sad to hear that. I sadly haven't been to anyone's house, and so I'm kind of offended that I've never been invited. No, so I don't know where this information is coming from, sadly, but I can assure you, Councilman Byron Thomas has done everything legally with communication. You look at that C right there. The C stands for communication. You should want our council to communicate legally with each other so we can be more efficient and run this city better. As a team, like our mayor just said, our Lady Gamecocks just won a national championship. But do you believe they win that national championship if they're not communicating on that basketball court? I do not believe so. So you should expect and want us to communicate. And sadly, we're sitting here today because some communication has got out to the public that sadly has hurt the public. And I want to do my job to the best of my abilities to bring our community back together. And I assure you, I'm here to work with the mayor. I'm here to work with my fellow councilmen. I'm here to work with Tracy and the rest of our city staff. However, when we go back to the word teamwork, it's very important in regards to these boards and commissions that our city sits on, that we are present, whether it's pertaining to city matters or not, because when these other cities see us sitting there, helping them solve the problems that they might have, then we expect the same in return when it's our city that needs help and they're sitting there. Because when our city has a problem, I expect the other cities to be there. When you have a neighbor, do you want a neighbor that only comes to you when they have a problem, or do you want to actually get to know your neighbor and y'all build community and y'all are fellowshipping with one each other? That's what I hope our citizens will expect our city to be at these meetings. So once again, I promise you, teamwork will always be on my mind because there's no I in team. So thank y'all again for coming out, and I can't wait to continue to work to make our city the best city to live in on this planet.
Thank you. They didn't hear you. Because you can see from their comments that they still had to lie, that they still had to attack me. They were more disturbed by this being out in the public and in your eyes than by what they did. As I said earlier, and I reiterate, I knew about the agenda item, but nothing else. And as Mayor Pro Tem James said a minute ago, they did talk with each other, but they kept everything secret from me. That's not teamwork. And they would know that I don't serve on MASC if they had talked to me. They would know the damage that they just did to our city. They would know that Hunter Sox couldn't be appointed to the River Alliance. They would know all of those things. I don't have a need to try to take those positions back because that's not what this is about. I would have gladly shared them had they shared any interest in serving, any interest in connecting and communicating, or as Councilmember James is famous for saying, over-communicating. I hope that they will hear you soon. I hope that they will understand what you asked of all of us tonight. I will continue to lead in that way, and I will continue to communicate to the council and to our citizens. Thank you. We have executive session for receipt of legal advice relating to claims and potential claims by and against the city and other matters covered by the attorney-client privilege, including an update on Lexington County's cancellation of a road maintenance agreement and discussion of negotiations instant to propose contractual arrangements concerning 800 Lexington Avenue. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session for said reasons?
I move that we enter executive session for said reasons.
Second?
I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Socks.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, thank you, so moved. Thank you. So no action was taken in executive session except to come out of executive session. I don't believe we have possible actions by council and follow-up to executive session other than the other item, which is discussion and approval of sale of real property of city at 800 Lexington Avenue. Is there a motion regarding that item?
I move that we decline the current offer of the city-owned portion of 800 Lexington Avenue and authorize the city manager to continue negotiating.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to reiterate what Councilman Sock said. This is a parcel of property within the 800 Lexington Avenue that the city owns, not anything about the development of that property. Correct? Correct.
All right, I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you so much. Take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you, so moved.